Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm here in CCF Abu Dhabi, and tonight is special because I'm joined with Kuya Edric Mendoza and Ate Joy Tanchi Mendoza. They spoke about the relationship goals at the CCF Singles Ministry Big Night Out. So, Kuya Edric, can you please tell us some of the important things that you told?
Sure.
Yes.
It's so funny that we're being called Kuya at Ate.
Yes,
We feel so
I'm
old.
so
That's very telling.
So we're 65 years old with lots of plastic surgery. But we had a good time, just talking casually and speaking from our hearts, asking questions. And we opened up with the idea that when it comes to relationship goals, if you look at it in social media, there's basically three things that you will see. Number one, there's a perspective. People will see certain things and say, ganun pala yun. This is what it might look like. But part of what we wanted to share in our time with everybody is there's a reality. It's not exactly what you might see. There's a lot of ugliness, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of things that you don't expect.
Truth hurts.
But that's the way relationships are. And then there's the possibilities. And my wife actually touched on that. And essentially, possibilities are what it can still be or what it can still look like. Relationships, people have a perspective, and sometimes it's this perfect image, but the reality is it's not perfect. But there's possibility. And there's a possibility that although you might not find the perfect person, if God has one in store for you, you will find the perfect person for you. That's what we talked about.
Right. So speaking of, there's no such thing as a perfect person. Ate Joy mentioned something about that upgradable person. So if you can just tell us more about it.
Yeah, I talked about just to encourage the women, also the guys out there, but the women specifically, that we really need to look for in a man somebody who is upgradable, meaning somebody who's always willing to change and improve for the better. And I talked about there's 4 different things that you have to look for in a man who is like this. The first is that he has the right foundation. What is his anchor? What drives his choices? Does he believe in God? Does he have a solid relationship with God? But not just that, is he really growing in his faith with the Lord? And then the next thing is what is his direction? Because if you're going to commit yourself to God, you want to know that he's headed somewhere. So what is his compass? Where is he headed? And then the third would be his intention. Is he clear about his intentions with you? Is he really serious about pursuing with you? That has to be clear. And then lastly is conviction. What are his convictions? So in terms of integrity, in terms of purity, in terms of even the way he uses his time and the people that he surrounds himself with. These are all going to show you what his convictions are. And those are important because those carry into any marriage relationship.
Yeah, as a follow-up question, Ate Joy, let's say a woman found these 4 gauges, right? So is it the wait or the pursuit? You mentioned this at the seminar.
Yeah, I think that, on the one hand, women don't have to hide and just wait around for a guy to show up at their doorstep. So I would say be at the right places. That's your part. You can,
Such
as like, I think serving
Such
with,
as what is not.
Oh well, yeah. I shared that don't go looking for this kind of guy in maybe the bar setting because I don't think that you're going to find the right kind of guy there. And then I would say being in ministry with in a church would probably be a better setting to find the right kind of guy or this kind of guy. And that's the part that you can. That's how you can look for the right person without actually pursuing that person, but being in the right place. And then that's where you'll find the right kind of guys. And then of course, be responsive. If a guy shows interest in you and it's in the right context, let's say you're serving together and the guy does initiate, then at least be responsive. Give him opportunity to get to know you and also you to get to know him. And let's not be so uptight about it. And let's just keep it casual where you do get to know him, you are friendly with him, and then you pray, Lord, this is the right person. I'm allowing myself to get to know him. If he's not the right person, give me clear signs. But you don't have to be fearful about it because if you're of age, you're in the right place, then he could be the right person, but you won't know unless you also give him a chance.
Yes, but there's also a chance that you could turn him off. That's what
where you
Kuya
get,
Edric
yeah.
said about be a lady.
Yes, right.
Yes.
So I think part of what we were sharing is for both guys and girls, you want to have a culture where you're straight. You don't play games. If a guy is interested in a girl, as they get to know each other and he has intentions of pursuing her beyond just a friend, then he should tell her. And as a lady, then you should be able to tell him up front and say, yes, you are interested in allowing him to pursue you, or no, you want to just be friends. That's part of what I said. And part of what I also was sharing is, as a lady, if you want to be able to see gentlemen make an approach like that, act like a lady. Don't become too friendly towards
The bro
them
sense.
that you go into the bro zone. You know, you're like, ay, babae pala siya. You know, this whole time you're dealing with them, you're giving high fives, and you're talking about sports, and you're enjoying that the guys who you are praying about and you would like to pursue you are thinking about you as just one of the guys. So make sure you still act like a lady. Draw that line. Make them remember, ay, o nga pala, she's a woman. She's a lady. She's not one of us guys.
Be feminine. Use your feminine powers.
Exactly.
Yes, and about resolving conflicts, you mentioned something about fighting fair. I know that fighting can be a way to actually strengthen the relationship instead of destroying it. So I think the goal is for us to come to the point wherein we fight, but after that we're still okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right,
think
so-
we learned this principle.
So first of all, don't be
Yeah.
afraid of conflict.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's part of it. I talked about perspective, reality. Reality is conflict is inevitable, so embrace it. But how do you deal with it? Don't look to fight to win.
We
That's,
learned it
that's
from
the instinct, right? Craig Groeschel calls it fight fair.
Yeah.
You know, fighting to win is instinctive. Sino ba tama? Is Joy right or is Edric right? And that's how we usually approach any conflict. Instead of looking at it that way, ask yourself, okay, what resolution can we come up with instead? And I'll stretch this further by saying, what is the resolution that will honor God as a result of this conflict that we can now work towards? So think about that. Work towards a resolution rather than who is right. I want to prove to you that I'm right, or Joe wants to prove that. So that leads to a world of problems.
Be proactive, not reactive,
Yes.
right? Yes, and I have one question to each of you. First, to Ate Joy. So this is such a mystery to me. I keep wondering how would a smart woman, reconcile the thought that she doesn't want to teach the man in the spirit of submission, but at the same time, the guy could interpret that as something offensive to him, right? But you, at the same time, you want to be that woman who encourages your man as a helpmate and to be the woman behind the man. So how do you sort of balance that?
Well, first I'll just say something about submission. That the Bible verse says, "You submit to your husband as unto the Lord," and I think that "as unto the Lord" phrase is very key. It's a smart woman will understand that ultimately you're not submitting to your husband just for the sake of submitting to your husband. You're recognizing that God wants your protection. He wants to bless you. That's why it's as unto the Lord. So you're doing it because God has asked it of you. So it's a theological thing. You understand that God wants what's best for you, so you will voluntarily put yourself under the leadership of your husband. At the same time, you can be an encourager, a life giver to him. For example, if you are the stronger person in the relationship, meaning you have the more vocal personality. So when you notice ways that your husband steps up as a leader, call it out and say, hon, I really appreciate it when you lead like this. It really makes me really want to follow you and honor you, and it encourages me as a wife. And I would say the third thing would be to pray for your husband. I think the strongest women who love God understand that real strength doesn't come from them. It's really comes from the Lord. And so we have to pray for our husbands faithfully and to really surrender them to the Lord. We can't change them. We can't control them. So ultimately, it's God who's going to be the one to work in our husband's life. But like you said, we have to be that helpmate. We have to be that life giver, that life sustainer, that strong supporter that comes alongside our husbands with our gifts and abilities, not to take his place in the dynamic of husband and wife, but to come alongside him to submit when he has to make a decision, to honor him, to respect him, to encourage him, and to pray for him.
Oh, great. But at the same time, to balance things, Edric, I think we should also sort of appeal to men because I think, yes, Kuya, I think the world needs stronger men. more than
Exactly.
ever.
And that's a perfect segue from what Joe was saying. My boss used to tell me, what it takes for a strong woman is to have a stronger man, right? And as a stronger man, I think my encouragement to all the men there is it's time for us to step up. It's time for us to make sure we take charge, we learn more about God's ways and His Word, and that we are able to be the one to infuse that now in our marriages, in our homes, and be that man.
All right. Thank
All
you
right.
very much. So for final words, all of our singles right now.
Say I do to Jesus first.
Yeah, that's right.
And if He wants you to have someone, then you can say I do to them.
Right. You have to be a complete person so that you wouldn't suck the blood out of each
Yeah.
other. You have to be complete with God first so that you can give substance to one another and share a lot on the table.
Love
Thank
triangle.
you. Thank you very
Heart
much.
ba?
Ate Joy and Kuya Edric.
All right.
Thank you guys for listening. God bless you.
God bless.
And
God
put
bless
Jesus
you.
first in your relationship. Thank you. Bye.